Hi everybody, Chris Titley here and welcome to Scoreboard. Scoreboard is based on one simple premise, and that is premium access for curious minds. We have conversations with athletes, coaches, owners, CEOs, stakeholders, broadcasters, and people who think, lead, and make things happen. No buzzwords, no jargon, just clear thinking, lived experience, and lessons that you can use to be a better you. We bring the access, they bring the experience, and you bring the curiosity. Together, we build the only scoreboard that matters, your own. Scoreboard, premium access for curious minds.
This episode is powered by Swyftx, Australia's top-rated crypto exchange and proudly homegrown. Now let's get to today's episode.
Hi, it's Chris Titley here, and as part of the Scoreboard podcast today, I'm joined by Leroy Loggins. Leroy, thank you so much for being part of this series.
Oh, my pleasure, Chris. Appreciate it.
We are sitting here on Monday, 18th of August, 2025. How's your 2025 been, Leroy?
Wonderful. No complaints, mate. I'm still above ground, so that's more important to me. I'm healthy. My family's healthy and happy, and yeah, we're moving along. Unfortunately, the year's going really quick.
Sure has. And what's Leroy Loggins doing at the moment?
Well, actually, at the moment, I'm doing some work with an employment agency, supporting job seekers in obtaining employment and maybe taking up a course or apprenticeship, or just trying to build them up, build some self-esteem.
I'm going to touch on self-esteem, and I'm going to touch on, I suppose, resilience and some of the traits that you have. How would you describe some of your superpowers, I suppose, or some of the traits that you had in the past and now that you're sharing it? How do you go about sharing it?
Well, I'm a firm believer in the mind is a very powerful tool. I used that trait when I played basketball. I didn't think there was nothing I could conquer. And if I set my goals and achieved them, I felt really good. So this is what I'm trying to give to my clients, that, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel, no matter what you're going through in life. You just have to believe that you can achieve and get on with the process.
And Leroy, in regards to that firm belief and the goal setting you mentioned, were you a goal setter? Are you a goal setter? And have you been, through your life, I suppose, setting goals?
My early life, no. I didn't set any goals. Actually, I did have one goal when I was a kid, and that was to become a professional basketball player in the NBA. So I guess in that way I was setting a goal. After that, I didn't really set any goals. I just went with the flow. I just worked hard, put my head down, and thought, I believed in myself.
Where do you reckon that self-belief came from? Sorry, Leroy. Where did you believe that self-belief? Where did that self-belief come from?
It came from inside. It came from inside of me because when I was growing up, man, I was always put down and told I couldn't achieve or I couldn't accomplish anything. And I didn't fall for that trap. I mean, it came to a point where if someone tells you enough negative stuff, you start to believe it. And that's basically what happened to me. But as I got older and started, playing basketball and achieving certain things, I thought, well, hey, I'm just as good or better than anybody else.
And when you picked up the basketball for the first time, or in and around those memories as a child from basketball, what was it about the game that you enjoyed playing, and why?
I think when I first picked up basketball, I probably was walking through my community looking to do something of no good. As being a juvenile delinquent, I wasn't a bad person. I just hung out with the wrong crowd. And one day we walked past a basketball high school gym, and I heard the balls bouncing in there and sneakers squeaking, and I had a peep inside the door. And lo and behold, it was like my calling card. Ever since I stepped in that gym, that's all I did from day in. Well, that's not all I did. I played other sports, but basketball seemed to be the one that I stuck with.
And it's a team sport, but it's also an individual sport. How did you grasp around, obviously trying to be the best person that you can and the best player you can, but also the dynamics of a team?
Well, in my community, we played a lot of different sports and we hung out, and it was a way for us all to get together and hang out and appreciate our friendships. I mean, there were a lot of fights and bad mouth during those years, but deep down inside, it came down to, okay, this community versus that community. And I think that's where it started for me, was that team camaraderie that, me and my boys, we can achieve anything.
And then I suppose the journey to Australia. Do you want to talk about that, the first memories of coming down under and the first couple of years in Australia, and what your views were of Australia?
Well, for me, I attended a junior college in Baltimore, Community College of Baltimore, and each term I flunked out. So that means that I had to go to see the dean of the school and have a conversation in order for them to let me go back to school. So this went on for a couple of years, and I eventually dropped out and started hanging on the streets. But I went back to school, junior college, in my last year, because no one in my family had ever journeyed into college or didn't know anything about the system. I was kind of lost and alone on this journey. So I had a coach that reached out to some people in West Virginia, Fairmont State, and they came up to Baltimore and had a look and, said, we would love for you to come to West Virginia, Fairmont State. And I knew that at that point in time, I had to make a decision. I couldn't go to a university because of my prior track record of dropping out of school and flunking classes and making bad decisions. And yeah, I chose to go to Fairmont State. And there was another guy. I was first team All-American, JUCO, junior college. And there was another guy by the name of Joe Riley. He played with, who did he play with? Can't remember the school, but he was also a first team All-American, and he was from Maryland as well. And we both said, if you go to Fairmont State, I'll go. And I said, if you go, I'll go. And because they had a brand new basketball court, and no one had ever played there yet. And I thought, well, I probably can do some positive stuff here and try to, set the stage for a winning program. And I mean, they were already winning anyway, but that basketball stadium that no one ever played in really weighed heavy on me, because, I mean, I had scholarships all across America, but unfortunately I couldn't take them. All the big universities, Dean Smith used to write me every 2 weeks and ask me how I was going. And I eventually ended up going to Fairmont State. And because every year that I was in the college system, in the JUCO college system, I had to go to summer school. So when I went to Fairmont State, I thought, okay, I'll go to summer school. And yeah, my first year I went to Fairmont State. I didn't have to go to summer school because my coach used to pick me up and drop me off in the morning to my classes to make sure I got there on time. And I had some support, uh, people supporting me off the court. And I was able to pass my classes and didn't have to go to summer school, and received an invitation to come to Australia. And to be quite honest, I've never heard of Australia. I didn't know if the people spoke English. All I knew was that this is a great opportunity for me as a young man to discover the world and do things that people in my community don't normally get an opportunity to do, because it's always that coulda, woulda, shoulda. We have some of the best high school basketball players, some of the best college basketball players, in America coming out of Baltimore, but unfortunately for some sad reason, a lot of them didn't make it, and I didn't want to be the one that didn't make it.
That's a great story. Do you remember the invitation for Australia? Was it a letter? Was it a phone call?
It was a letter, Mr. Leroy Loggins. We would like you to travel to Australia with 11 other NAIA small college All Americans, and yeah, I was really excited. It just said, bring warm clothing. I didn't have, yeah, bring warm clothing. I didn't have much clothing as far as dressing. I borrowed my dad's suit jacket. I borrowed a suitcase from somebody I can't remember, and I also borrowed $20 from my aunt because I mean we were poor, mate, but I wasn't gonna let this opportunity slip. So uh, got my passport and I was ready to go. I said, I'm on this journey and I'm not going to let this opportunity pass me by.
Wow. And do you remember getting on the plane and then they maybe saying, oh, welcome aboard for your 15-hour flight?
Yeah, well, before that, I had to catch the plane from Baltimore to California. So everyone was meeting in California, the other 11 players who I never met before in my life. Never met the coaches, didn't know anyone, didn't know anybody. But that wasn't my fear. And my fear was not getting on the plane either. But I just knew I had to do this journey. And we got on the plane, and it was wintertime in America. But by the time we got to Australia, it was really hot. And I thought, I'm sitting on this plane for so long, and I'm thinking, where the hell am I going? It's getting hotter and hotter. I hope I'm not going to hell. So, yeah, that's the way I was thinking, man. Shit, I might be going to hell. This is a long ride.
Do you reckon there was a
But
moment there where you got the letter and you're like, was this all a joke? You're like, where am I going? Where are they taking me? I thought I signed up for something nice.
yeah, I didn't think it was a joke because I had so much success playing basketball. I was making first team All American teams,
You're like, where are they sending
making
me?
all conference. Yeah, making all conference MVPs. So I knew it wasn't no joke because, especially after receiving like hundreds of invitations from top schools in America,
Yeah.
I knew I was on to something. And my mother used to always say, wait, what's going on? You getting these little news articles. And I'm saying, I'm playing basketball and, that's the reaps of being successful. And she couldn't understand it, but I was getting a lot of support from my friends and family back in Baltimore. And, I was going to go to a school in Baltimore called Coppin State College. And I don't know if you ever heard of them or know much about them, but they were a small NAIA school that went to, there's a big tournament in New York, and the NIT tournament. And they won the NIT tournament and beat a lot of Division I schools. So a lot of my friends said, man, don't go to the school here. You need to get away from here and, basically grow up as a young man. And that's what I did when I went to Fairmont State.
Leroy, I know much as about that tournament as you knew about Australia, to be honest. So no is the answer. I didn't know much about that college.
No, that's okay.
I'm curious as to know when you got off the team, the 11 players, etc., that you didn't meet, where you all were based, and your first impressions of Australia. And do you remember some early iterations potentially of Australian football and some mannerisms of Australia? You're like, whoa, where am I?
No, I didn't know anything. I was blind. I got off that plane blind, man. And I love what I saw, though. I love what I saw. People driving on the wrong side of the road, and shops closing on a Saturday at like 5 o'clock or midday, and you see all these people during the weekend, and the weekend everyone disappeared. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Where is everyone? But as I began to live the lifestyle, I was totally enjoying not having the stress of worrying about is something negative going to happen to me today. Because in the big cities, especially in Baltimore, once you leave home, you don't even know if you're going to make it back. I mean, that can happen anywhere, but the chances are very high over there. Baltimore is one of the top four worst cities to live in. But unfortunately, I grew up there. That's where my family and friends are. And yeah, it was a great opportunity. My whole train of thought was I can't go back there. I don't want to go back there. And when I got here, we had training every day, and then they were going to have a draft where they had 6 teams, and we're playing in the American Australian Basketball League. So they had one team on the Gold Coast, one team in Toowoomba, one and 4 teams in Brisbane. So they put our names in the hat, and before we went to this pre-draft, I read my horoscope because I was reading big on reading horoscopes, and it said something good is going to happen to you today. And the first name out of the hat to go to the Gold Coast was Leroy Loggins. I was like, yes, sir. And I ended up playing with a guy called Tim Glass, and we won the league. We only lost one game. We lost that game because our coach, Dave Claxton, had a pre-engagement and he couldn't make the game, which was played at Arkansas. So during this game that we lost, a big fight broke out. And everyone's like out there fighting, and one of our teammates accidentally punched one of the referees. But through all this chaos, there's one guy sitting on the bench, and that's me. And I'm sitting on the bench because I saw a movie on the way to Australia called Midnight Express, where a young man goes to a foreign country and gets incarcerated, and a lot of negative things happen to him. And I thought, that's not going to be me. I'm not getting involved. So, yeah, that was the only game we lost. But yeah, it was great. I got to play with some great guys. A lot of those guys spent most of their time surfing. Uh, we partied hard. We played harder. And yeah, it was great, man. I loved it.
I'm curious to know the feelings as a young person there, leaving Baltimore, leaving your family of a place that you grew up and only knew, to then come across to the other side of the world and almost to your words, like, I'm not going back, I'm not giving this up, but there's a deep connection there. I'm curious to know how you felt.
Well, I felt that I didn't want to go back because of the environment that is bred in Baltimore. It breaks so many people down. A lot of people turn to drugs. A lot of people turn to alcohol. A lot of people turn to crime. A lot of people sell drugs. And I just didn't want to be in that environment. I wanted to appreciate life. I've got a taste of the good life, and I thought, why do I want to go and live in an environment where it's not safe? And I thought at least if I could come here, at least maybe I could set the way for my brother, my father, my sisters, my mother to come to Australia and live, which never eventuated. But my mom did venture out here with my sister and my nephew and my niece, and they loved it. They loved it. But of course, it's too far. But I'm like, I'll sacrifice my family and friends for a better life.
And did you go back to Baltimore during that era at all?
Of course. I used to go back every year
Yep.
because, you know, I thought and I felt that if I could make my family proud and make them smile and make them laugh and see that I'm achieving something in life and supporting them at the same time, you know, I can go home anytime I want to. I have dual citizenship now. Became an Australian citizen. I love this place so much, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world.
And the basketball was obviously from that little camp and those competitions that you played your first season in Brisbane, but then you also ventured over to the other side and into Adelaide. Do you want to talk about those early years in Australia and where you were finding your head and where you're finding your place and your people?
Well, when I first came to Brisbane, uh, because I had been here prior and got a taste of the lifestyle, I wanted to come back, and I wasn't looking to $4 million because no one was making that kind of money here anyway. So I just wanted a place where I could go meet someone, have a family, have a roof over my head, and I call that rich. But also, we have a saying back home where we grew up in a community called Cherry Hill, and it's in South Baltimore. And we say we're rich kids because we were raised in Cherry Hill. So I always think I'm just happy to have a roof over my head and a family. And I'm happy in life, mate. I don't need a whole lot of money. You know, money doesn't buy you happiness apparently, but yeah, I'm happy in life, mate. I have a
Yeah.
beautiful wife, beautiful home, beautiful kids, and I'm happy in life. But at the same time, I gotta survive. So I come to Brisbane and I'm playing. I think I worked at a bottle shop when I was in Brisbane, and I also worked at a petrol station. So, you know, back then, most guys that played basketball had to work anyway to cover their costs. But I enjoyed it, and we lost the semifinal to Hobart that year, who eventually went on and won the championship. Apparently, I fouled Ian Davis down the stretch of the game. He hit some foul shots, but we also had a chance to win that game. And I was playing with a guy by the name of Brian Banks, who I wanted the ball, but he took it and shot at him. Not to say we lost the game because of that, but I really wanted that ball in those circumstances. And I also got a chance to see how some of the top teams in Australia were playing and organized. And for some reason, Adelaide just, oh, they blew me away, mate. I thought, shit, I'd love to play for these people. And a guy by the name of Ken Richardson, my dear friend, who's no longer with us, his brother lived in Ohio. And he told Ken, if you ever come across this kid in Australia named Leroy Loggins, you got to get this kid. They call him Skinny. And Ken Richardson reached out to me and said, we want you to come to Adelaide. And I thought, I'm already there, mate.
You're right. Let's go to this team that I look at, and they look pretty good to play for. So you went over there for a couple of years, right? And what was your impressions
Yeah.
of Adelaide?
Oh, loved it, mate. Loved every minute of it, and got to play with, some really good Aussie boys, and then they had the Mean Al Green machine down there. And Ken Richardson was also a great player. So we had a really good team. And I tell people this all the time, and they might think I'm crazy or whatever, but that year when we played and we won that championship, me and Al Green made a pact. We said, Al, you win the MVP of the league, and I'll take out the MVP of the championship. And that's the way it played out. And I'm still great friends with all those guys down there. And I would have loved to stayed in Adelaide, and I also got to play under the great mighty old soul King Cole, and he was another good guy, man. I loved playing with him. He let us play basketball, and yeah, we ended up losing that championship game by 1 point to Phil Smythe and the Canberra
Canberra.
Cannons.
There you go. The Canberra
Yeah, I wasn't a
Cannons.
happy camper.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
because we had Andy Campbell, who was 7 foot tall, and I think we played in St. Kilda somewhere, but because Andy had poor eyesight and the cameras were really light and bright, he could hardly see. And yeah, I think that played a big part in us losing that final. But
Leroy,
then,
yeah, you go. Keep going.
no, go ahead.
I was just saying, you've got a deep memory of these games that were a very long time ago, and these players. Do you have a memory of a lot of games and a lot of players? Is that something that is a skill of yours? Because it's fascinating to listen to.
I just think, like I say, the power of the mind, man. You like for me, my whole thing was because I got drafted, and I think I always say I got shafted, but my whole train of thought was, am I good enough to play at this level? Because coming from a small school, you playing against guys that played in the freaking in double NCAA championship games and won championships. And here's little old me just struggling to survive. And my whole train of thought was, am I good enough to compete at this level? And that's what made me work hard, man.
Mm. And what did you work on specifically? Like, obviously you're competitive and you're very competitive, but was there some like a shot? Was it skills? Was it stealing? Was it defense? Was it fitness? Like, was there an area where you went, right, let's just double down and let's be really good at this?
Yeah, there were two main areas for me, fitness and defense. I thought I can never have a bad day playing defense. And if I'm in shape, I can't lose. And one of my coach in junior college, he taught me about killer instinct. He said, once we get a team down, and I'm not preaching violence here, but he said we should do certain things to the team once we get them in a certain situation. And that stuck with me. And he taught me how to play correct defense. And then when I got to Fairmont State, it was all about psychology. It was all about, you don't have to be 250 pounds to compete. You just have to have a strong mind and you have to be in shape. Because when I played junior college, we had a guy that was probably about 25 and he was just come out the army. And this guy would just run, 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 run. And I was like, I'm gonna I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna run, run, run till I can't run no more. And that was my train of thought. No one's gonna outwork me. No one's gonna be out physically, do anything to me because I'm gonna be in shape. And even though I might have been a skinny boy, but I was strong. I lift weights. I did like everyone else, and yeah, those were my traits. But I knew I could score at will whenever I wanted to. I could score, but I said if I play defense, get a couple steals, make a couple foul shots, take a couple good shots, I could average 20 points easily. And that was my whole trait. You know, get some rebounds, pass the ball when your teammates open. I could have been selfish and scored 30 or 40 points a game, but that wasn't my game. So
And on
yeah, I was a total all around team player.
the fitness side of things, how far did you push your body? Did you just I'm just going to keep running and I'm going to be the fittest in the team? Were you the fittest in the team, or were there others around you that said, right, Leroy,
No, I
I'm
was
fitter
one
than
of the
you?
top fitness guys on our team because I enjoyed running. I love running. I used to participate in track and field when I was a kid. I used to run the 400, not very well, mind you, but I still tried. But that's where my love of running came when I picked up track and field as a youngster, and just love running, man. Even when we trained, like when I got to Fairmont State, we used to go up to the track and had to run the bleachers, and then meet a certain time to make the team, and I would always be up there in the top one or two, mate. I just loved it.
Did you enjoy basketball per se in your career? Or were there moments there where you're like, this is not working out?
No, 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 no. I knew I was on a mission. My mission was to get to the NBA, and the more I played, the further I got, the closer I got to getting to the NBA, and eventually got drafted. Went to a 4-day rookie camp and got cut on the 5th day, and I'm like, how's that possible? So I just thought, yeah, I got to make a living, and if I can get back to Australia, that would be great. And I've always been taught sometimes it's better to be a big fish in a small pond than be a small fish in a big pond. And that was my my way of facing reality and playing basketball in Australia.
Yep. And then Brisbane through that period of the 80s and 90s where basketball was very, very strong as a sport. Particularly here in Brisbane, we didn't have the Broncos and didn't have the Queensland Bulls and other sports. It was the focus. It was prime time, and we're getting into that sort of almost back to that phase now. believe it or not, in 2025. I'm curious to know how you handled the pressure, how you embraced it all, and did you get nervous? And you had some big shoes that people were talking, in regards to Leroy Loggins and the performances back to back and the games. How did you go with the pressure and the spotlight on you? And as you mentioned, a big fish in a small pond.
I loved it. I loved it because I control their emotions. If I go there and play well, we win, everyone's happy. No matter what these people are going through in their life, they appreciate you for playing basketball. And if you can bring them joy, it means a lot. I mean, I still get people today to come up and say, thank you for this, thank you for that. And yeah, because when I finally left Adelaide in '84, I came back to Brisbane. And I basically came back here to play for nothing. I love Brisbane so much. I just wanted to get back here and play basketball and achieve some things. And that was starting to transpire for me. I just love playing here, mate. Auchenflower was great. We had the old 6-man. We had the old Chook barbecue roasting over there with the smoke coming over on the court. Then we moved out to Chandler. That didn't take very long to get out of there because the crowds were just growing and growing and growing. And then we ended up moving to the entertainment center, and that was, the Brisbane Entertainment Center, and
Boondle.
that was Boonda. That was such a great feeling because I had never played in a stadium in front of that many people before in my life. So every time we played at Boonda, I thought I got to give these people what they want. They want us to be winning. And, thank goodness we had a really good team back then with the Rat, Larry, Doctor Who, Danny Moore, Sue, Darren Perry, just a whole lot of guys, Emery Atkinson, the list goes on and on and on. And we're a great bunch of guys that got along really well. And we were like rock stars, man. We couldn't go anywhere in Brisbane. And people used to always come up and want an autograph or just hold a conversation. And still to this day, I get people to come up and want an autograph and hold a conversation. I don't care where I'm in, what situation I'm in. As long as they're respectful to me, I'm respectful to them. And I think a lot of them get a shock because they don't really know me. But after they meet me and find out, not to piss in my own pocket, that I'm a nice guy, they go, geez, you're a really nice guy. Because I always wanted to help people when I was growing up in Baltimore. It stems back to we used to have a homeless guy go up and down the street. And people used to make fun of him and laugh at him every day, all day. And my mother said, you know something? We're going to make this guy some food and give him all our old clothes. And since that day, I thought, yeah, that's going to be my goal. If I make it somewhere in life, I'm going to keep my feet on the ground because if I don't and I go back to Baltimore, they're going to deflate me real quick. So I thought, I'm just going to try to help as many people as I can, support as many charities as I can, and just, it's called karma. When you give, it comes back to you. And that was my thought, help people that need help. A lot of people are doing it tough out there, and it's even worse now.
Why do you mention that? What's just the society we live in?
Yeah, the society we live in, mate. And through my job, I get to work with a lot of people that have issues, mental health, addiction, you name it. But I just love helping people, man. It's just something I can't run away from.
And when
And that's
people,
why,
yeah, you go. Sorry.
and that's why I set up my foundation for underprivileged kids, because a lot of kids can't afford the the money to play basketball or go to certain camps or do certain things, and I was the one that was always going to be there to support them. But I haven't done much of that since COVID came.
It's an interesting point you make around money in sport in terms of junior sport. And I was chatting to Nat Cook in the podcast as well around that her firm belief is if you represent your country, you shouldn't be paying a cent. and it should, over time, the higher you get, it seems like there's more trips you take, and there's more camps, and there's more rep teams, and there's more money, etc. And it may hinder the talent, I suppose, in terms of sport. What's your views on sport and basketball and the power of it, and what maybe things that potentially could change in the future?
Well, first of all, I'd like to take my hat off to the Boomers that won the FIBA Cup, Asia Cup
what a great game! Hey? We're
last
right down to the wire.
this morning. I was sitting up and watching that game, and I kept saying, I'm going to go to sleep, and I'll look at the score later. I'm going to go to sleep. But that was a hell of a game. I knew we'd come back, but that's just the Aussie spirit, mate. But as far as basketball, I think it's just a high demand on money here for kids to learn and, to participate or go anywhere in sport. It's all a cost. It's all a cost to families. And at this particular stage, mom and dad is finding it hard to even put food on the table, let alone find thousands of dollars to send their kids away on a camp or attend a camp or, you know, or to a skill-based camp. It's just ridiculous, really. But I mean, I guess everybody's got to make a living, but the reality of it all is it's just going crazy. The world's going mad, mate.
Mm.
But if I had my way, I would train these kids up. I wouldn't even charge them a dime. All I say is, once you achieve something in life, just remember where you came from. Be humble.
That's some really good advice, Leroy. I'm curious to know about your relationship with basketball. Has it changed over time?
Yeah, it has. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get in a situation where I wanted to help a club. Say, for instance, Brisbane. They came to me a few times asking me to support them, but when I said I needed to be compensated, they didn't have anything to say. So, my heart has always been with Brisbane, always will be, but unfortunately, I haven't played any part in, supporting these. I mean, I support them, but direct, hands-on, knowledge-wise, I haven't done any of that. And it's like disappointing to me that they can bring other people in from other parts of Australia to Brisbane and not, look at any of the past players or coaches that, could bring a lot to the table.
Mm. Are you still friends with a lot of the past players and the coaches?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I'm a friendly guy. I don't have hold animosity on anyone because it's not good health. You hold on to something that that happened years ago. That's not healthy, man. I let all that go.
No, I'm curious to know whether the 87 team has a 10-year or a 20-year or a catch-up at some point in time.
Well, we just had our 85 catch
Oh,
up
yeah.
last year.
Yep.
Yeah, so got to catch up with Cal and a lot of the other guys. Yeah, it was great. Mugga, who else we had there? Murray Shields.
Was Robert Sibley in 85 or
Yeah, it
was it
was
87?
no, that was 85.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
87 was Ronnie the Rat, Larry Sinstop, all those guys, man.
Taking you back
So
to some of those games at Boondall, mate. You remember the mushroom and the Mexican wave at 3/4 time? I mean, these are memories from me as a kid, mate. Some of the finest packed out Boondalls. And now you've got your statue out the front there. How do you feel about that?
that's some freaky stuff, man. I got plastered for 2 days straight, actually, and
Behind
I
the
mean,
scenes of
not
the Leroy statue, exclusive interview here. Two days
yeah,
plastered, hey?
exactly, exactly. They had to put a cast mold over my body, upper body, then lower body, and yeah, and then they prevailed the statue at Indoor Philly Shopping Center. And even just going there gave me the creeps, mate, because I knew a lot of people that had statues had passed away. And for some freaky reason, you're going to see yourself. And I'm like, this is not a good feeling. but I got over it. And yeah, I'm on it, mate. I mean, that statue was given to the city of Brisbane by the city of Brisbane. They had uh, a competition on B105, and I think they said because they were starting to get people immortalized, and they was like the sporting celebrities, and they said, "Who would y'all like to see next?" And they came up with me, man, and everyone donated money, and that's how they built the statue.
Wow. And like I'm curious, like you're a competitive guy, you've got goal sets, you belief in yourself. Is there any little bit of a imposter syndrome in you to think, oh, is this really real, or is it, I'm just a basketball player?
No, because of my upbringing, mate.
Yep.
You know, poverty, like I said, violence and all that. I know life is real, mate, and I just wanted what I was due. Growing up as a young kid and not having food on the table, you go, why are we living like this? Why are we in this situation? I don't want to live like this. I want something better. And that was my whole mentality. I want something better. And in order for me to get something better, I got to work my butt off. And that's why I played till I was 43, mate. Because
Mm.
I just had that mentality that I will not be stopped. I don't care what situation you put me under, I'm a survivor. I'm going to find a way to survive. And that was my whole mentality. If I can keep my family proud and happy, I'll go until I'm 50. But unfortunately, they cut me off at 43.
Mm. Mm. And the number 30, where did that come from? Was it just a random thing, or was there some sentimental value there?
Yeah, it ended up being my number when I went to college. I used to wear number 7, and no, I used to wear number 6 because Dr. J was my idol growing up. And yeah, I think when I went and started playing at Fairmont State, number 6 was already gone. So I had to settle on number 30. And that's I just stuck with that number 30.
Mm.
I was having a lot of success, and I thought, well, I'm gonna keep wearing number 30, and hopefully, no one wants number 30. And thank God, no one did. No one wanted number 30, and I was always able to get number 30. But after a while, it was like, you can't touch number 30. That belongs to me. That they say that belongs to Leroy. So get that out of your vocabulary. You're not gonna wear that.
I'm curious to know, like you, very competitive, but also very deep in thought and belief and confident. Where winning came into everything, was winning at all costs, or was there like, I'm just going to give my best, and if we don't win, that's okay. I'm curious to know what was going through the brain of Leroy Loggins.
Well, what goes through the brain of Leroy Loggins is as soon as you walk across that white line and you're on that court, you got to go 100. You got to give 110%, win, lose, or draw. So I know if I give 110%, 9 times out of 10, we going to win.
Mm.
Sometimes we going to lose, but at least I can go home and look myself in the mirror and say, you gave it all you had. You left it on the court, and no one can question your effort today because you gave 110.
That's some good advice out there for kids playing sport, isn't it? Because there is a lot of emphasis on winning. There's a lot of emphasis on, yeah, I suppose the sideline and parents wanting their kids to win and win, win, win. But at the end of the day, it comes down to
Yeah.
effort. It comes down to persistency and effort, as you mentioned, right?
Well, you have to be smart, man. Common sense tells you if you don't learn from your mistakes, then you're not a human being. And you're going to keep making the same mistakes and you're going to keep getting the same results. So you have to be smart. You're not going to play 100% every game. I mean, you can give 100%, 110, as I say. But if you lose, you go, okay, what did I do wrong today? Make some notes on how I can improve my game tomorrow. The season's over. What did I lack last season that I have to bring to the table this year? I'm good at ball handling. Now I got to work on my 3-point shot. I'm good at 3-point shooting. Now I got to work on my defense. I'm good on my defense. Now I got to work on my rebounding. I'm good at my rebounding. Now I got to work as a team player. So you're constantly learning the whole process each time you go out there. And when we used to have an off season, I used to take 2 weeks off, and then I'm back at it again.
And you switched off. What did you do in those 2 weeks? Were you just like, no more basketball, please? Were you
Nope.
thinking about basketball?
Through that small window, I had to try to please my wife and go on a holiday with her, and come back and do what I needed to do. Uh, and she knew that. She knew that basketball was my pride and joy. And it's like happy wife, happy life.
Mm.
So I don't know the saying, but for me, I was playing basketball and I was happy, and that was important for our relationship, and that was important for us to move forward.
I'm curious to know, Leroy, I asked this for guests, is your all-time favourite sporting moment? And it can include yourself, but I'd also like one that doesn't include yourself if you've got one.
My all-time sporting moment. Well, my all-time sporting moment was going to the Olympics in '92 in Barcelona, Spain. And after questioning myself for so many years, am I good enough to actually look around and see people like Evander Holyfield, uh, Kathy Freeman, you know, Boris Becker, the list goes on, and I'm going, geez, I'm here with all these great people, you know, and I finally felt like I made it in life, because it was a uphill battle for me, always questioning myself, am I good enough to be on this stage? And that just blew me away, being around so many professional people, mate. And, you know, that's when I kind of thought, yeah, I've kind of made it now, but yeah, it was great, mate. And I don't know, probably one of the greatest sporting moments. I mean, I'm a big follower of the Broncos, the Lions, the Firebirds. When any of our sporting codes, the Roar, whenever we win a championship, man, it's like, yeah, this is for the city. This is the city of Brisbane, and we still winning.
Absolutely. The Lions last year as well, the
Yeah.
win, the AFL. Leroy, as part of our Scoreboard sponsorship, we've got a little company that helps us and powers us. It's called Swyftx. They're based in Brisbane. They're Australia's most trusted crypto exchange. But as part of that sponsorship, we have a little segment, and the segment is called the Bucket List. And the Bucket List is an event, a sporting event that you haven't attended thus far in your life that you'd love to attend.
Anywhere in the world, I would have to say it would have to be the NBA Finals.
The NBA Finals. Any particular teams you'd like to see in those NBA Finals if you had the choice?
Not really. Just to be amongst the people in the atmosphere.
Yeah, maybe it's come up a couple of times, and also what's come up a couple of times is the March Madness, the Final Four.
Oh yeah,
Do you keep
March Madness.
March Madness? Do you keep an eye on the US sports? Do you keep an eye on the NBA or the college stuff anymore, or is it a bit of a distant past?
Not only that, the NBL. I watch everything, man. I watch NRL. The Wallabies had a great win yesterday, the night before. Uh, yeah, I'm just a sport freak, man. I played baseball in America. Football was great at all sports, but chose basketball. Uh, yeah, I love everything. Track and field. Uh, I love watching the Little League World Series, which is being played now in America. We have a team from Brisbane, and I think we were 1-1, but yeah, we're up against it over there.
Are you excited about
Uh,
2032 in Brisbane?
yeah, I'm very excited about 2032. Uh, I know what it's going to be like just to have so many great athletes coming here. It's going to be off the chain, man. Hopefully Gal might be ready to go.
Oh,
He might be a world leader by then.
that would be awesome. He's running so
Uh,
well at the moment for his age group as well. Is like, was he second in the under 23 in the world or something? And he's only 17. It's
yeah,
ridiculous. Yeah.
yeah. I know there's also an Asian kid that broke a world record or something last week, I think it was, in the hundreds. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. That's the thing about, even though he's from Ipswich, but Queensland just produces some of the greatest athletes in the world, man. For such a small population, it's just mind blowing.
And on that note, I've got one final question about sport. What's sport given you, or basketball given you, that nothing else has in your life, and where it's taken you?
Yeah, well, it's given me some great moments. It's taught me discipline, commitment. Uh, Taught me how to look after my body, which I still do. I still go work out. Uh, it just taught me so much about, what can I say? It taught me a lot about competing. You know, if you're not in it to win it, then you're just wasting your time. I don't know how, and I think you asked me a question pertaining to this earlier, but I just don't know why in the world. My train of thought is, I can't go out there and want to be second class. I want to be first. Whatever I do, I always want to be first. And if I lose, I'm still going to win because mentally, I know I'm winning. So call me crazy. I have done acupuncture. I have done ginseng. And a lot of the guys used to think I was going to cut a chicken up at halftime, but I said, no, I don't do voodoo, mate. I don't do voodoo.
So some of the tools that you use were maybe slightly unorthodox to get that edge, right?
Exactly. You always got to get the edge, mate, as long as it's legal. And I got turned on to ginseng and acupuncture because I had a herniated disc in my back a few years ago. I think it was 94, 96. And they wanted me to have an operation. And I said, nope, not having an operation. I'm going to just work hard and get myself back together, man. And got acupuncture and never had a problem since. I'm a big firm believer in Eastern medicine.
Fabulous. Leroy Loggins, thank you so much for being on Scoreboard, the podcast today, to share your story from Baltimore to Adelaide to Brisbane and where you are now, and the work that you're doing to helping people and the values that are instilled in yourself around helping people, around prosperity, around lifelong learning, teammates and camaraderie, all the aspects of sport and basketball. I wish you well in the next phase of your life and what you're doing now. Looking forward to supporting you and helping you where I can, and thank you so much for your time.
No problem, Chris.